to try to tell somebody, this is what you're going to do, and an adult at that, this is what you're going to do, and this is what you're going to watch, and this is what you're going to listen to, and these are who the people you're going to hang out with. It's all about control and codependency and trying to force somebody to be someone they're not and try to force them to be like you. I hate that stuff. I've always hated that stuff. One thing about me is I don't like to try to control someone. So yeah, I find that to be really interesting that they think they're helping him, but at the same time, they think he has the problem, but really they had the problem. They had a problem with trying to control somebody, and they had a problem with not accepting their own child who God gave them. Very interesting. I'm going to go on to our next passage, our next letter. It's called A Motorcycle with No One on It. Dear Sugar, Dear Sugar, I'm crushing in middle age. That's pretty much it. I'm middle-aged, married, and crushing on a friend. And it's full-blown, just like in high school. Sweaty palms, distracted, giddy, the whole shebang. So far, it has gone no further than flirting, and I really, really know better. My question isn't what should I do. I'm pretty clear I should behave. But what should I do with all this delightful but distressing energy? Crushed. Dear Crushed, steer clear of the object of your crush and use this delightful and distressing energy to reinvest in what matters most to you, your marriage, it seems. Do something extra sweet for your spouse this week. Have sex tonight and make it hella hot and good. Go for a long walk or a lingering dinner together and lovingly discuss how you're going to keep your love as well as your romance strong. You're clear you don't want to act on your crush, so trust that clarity and be grateful that you have it. My inbox is jammed with emails from people who are not so clear. They're tortured by indecision and guilt and lust. They love X but want to fuck Z. It is the plight of almost every monogamous person at one time or another. We all love X, but want to fuck Z. Z is gleaming, so crystalline, so unlikely to bitch at you for neglecting to take out the recycling. Nobody has to haggle with Z. Z doesn't wear a watch. Z is like a motorcycle with no one on it. Beautiful, going nowhere. Yours truly. Yours, Sugar. Okay, so Z is like a motorcycle with no one on it, beautiful, going nowhere. I like that. Yeah, it's dangerous. It's slippery slope. It's like jumping on a bike and getting ready to crash and ruin your life, right? I was married 23 years, and my ex had a wandering eye and was very much a flirt, and it was painful. It's painful for the significant other, especially if the significant other is intuitive, and I'm very intuitive, so I definitely could feel it, sense it, notice it. And so I think, we really do need to be careful when it comes to stuff like that and not get tangled up. And it's easy to get tangled up when you maybe aren't getting what you need from the relationship you're in. But I love Sugar's answer is to reinvest in the relationship you're in and try harder with the person that you're with so that you can get over that. Because the other route is very dangerous and causes all kinds of pain and suffering and loss. And when you start thinking the grass is greener over there and things look better over there, you're wrong. And I think oftentimes you're wrong. I'm sure there's maybe an occasion where somebody's being abused or something like that, but at the same time, it's never the right answer to step outside your marriage and do something like that. I don't believe that it's ever the right answer. I'm going to read the next letter since we have time. This one is called The Reckoning. Dear Sugar, I'm the lucky mama of one darling baby, and oh, how I treasure every moment. Unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, the baby's daddy does not follow suit on treasuring every moment. Baby's daddy lives in another state. He left while I was still pregnant and did not attend our child's birth, though he proclaims via emails every 6 or six or so weeks to care for his child. He does not pay child support, nor has he seen his baby since mere weeks after birth. Our baby is now over 1. He has never even called to find out how his child is doing. My question is this: am I obligated to send pictures and keep him updated about his child, since he sends somewhat pitiful emails every couple of months about himself? I'm heavily leaning towards no updates, but I would gladly take into consideration the opinion of a lovely sweet pea such as yourself, Sugar. I want to do what is best for my little bundle, even if what I want to do is kick the baby's dad in the groin with steel-toed boots, screaming, "What the hell is the matter with you, you narcissistic crazy?" Whew, that felt good to say. Let the healing begin. Joy and love, dearest Sugar, oh Mama. Dear oh Mama, do you own a pair of steel-toed boots? I do, and I'm happy to loan them to you, so that you can properly kick the ass of that fool. Your rage is justified. Your anger, astonishment over your baby daddy's failure to be a true father to your beautiful baby makes all of the sense in the world. But you know what? It doesn't matter one fig. At least not in the face of what is at stake for your child. If you choose to let your perfectly reasonable fury guide the decisions you make when it comes to the way you conduct yourself on the subject of his or her father, that this man is your child's father is one of the most essential facts of his or her life. It remains a fact no matter what happens, whether the man with whom you've reproduced ever has a relationship with your child or not. One day, years from now, your son or daughter will have to account for his or her father and for you as well. There will be a reckoning. There is always a reckoning for every one of us, accounting for what happened in our childhoods and why and who our parents are and how they succeeded and failed us. Is the work we all do when we do the work of becoming whole, grown-up people. That reckoning is especially fraught when a parent has failed a child, and so I advise you to A, do everything in your power to thwart a fail between your child and his or her father, and B, keep yourself from failing should the father of your child persist in doing so. It's apparent that you're struggling with the rage and disappointment you rightly feel towards your baby's father. I don't fault you for this, and no one would. But what's your fault and what isn't is beside the point. The point, as you state in your letters, is what's best for your child. You asked if you were obligated to send pictures and updates in response to the intermittent emails the father of your child sends now. And my answer is yes, not because you're obligated to the man. You owe him nothing, but because you're obligated to your child. Given the fact that the baby daddy sounds like only a pathetic fuck rather than an abusive one, the best thing you can do for your sweet baby is nurture a father-child bond, especially this early in your child's life. As you've so desperately detailed, it has begun well. As you've so desperately detailed, it hasn't begun well. Baby daddy has thus far failed on every front. This is not your responsibility, but it is your problem. Your efforts in the direction of inclusion, communication, acceptance, and forgiveness could lead to a positive relationship between your child and his or her father that profoundly affects the course of his or her life, or not. We can't know yet, but it's a big enough deal that I strongly encourage you to try. I don't say this with a light heart. It would be much more fun to kick this guy with your steel-toed boots. I would be happy to help you do that. I understand how outrageously unjust it is that you should be expected to respond to this narcissistic crazy. with grace and integrity. But every now and then, each of us must do so, honey bun. And this is your time. This is when it counts. Because, of course, you aren't doing this for you. You're doing this for your child. I know you know this already. I can tell that you're a great mom. Your good momness shimmers right through your letter, and now appallingly, I implore you to see what you can do to help the man who knocked you up to likewise shimmer. Our kids deserve that, don't they? To be loved shimmeringly? Yes, they do. So let's get to it. The first thing I advise you to do is compel baby daddy to pay child support. This can be done through peaceful legal negotiations or you can sue his ass. Either way, I encourage you to do it through formal channels rather than personal agreement so that you have recourse should baby daddy fail to pay. By requiring this man to contribute financially, you're not only protecting your child, but also communicating two important facts: that you expect something from baby daddy and that he owes something to his child. If he's any sort of decent fellow, he'll hand over the dough without too much protest. If he's a good guy going through a rough patch, he'll thank you later. I encourage you to hire an attorney immediately. The second thing I advise you to do is compose an email addressed to your child's father that A, compassionately acknowledges his absence in his child's life, B, asks directly about making arrangements for a visit, and C, provides an update on your child's personality and development. Attach a couple of pictures. Tell a few stories. When I say compassionately acknowledges, I mean does a little dance around the fact that baby daddy's not stepped up as a father so far. I mean gives him some room to change. I mean does not imply that you might team up with an advice columnist to kick his teeth out with some very serious steel-toed boots. I mean be your best, most gigantic self, which sometimes for a tiny bit means faking it, as in, hello, baby daddy. I hope you're well. Baby is getting so big and more beautiful and amazing every day. Even though our relationship is a thing of the past, it's important to me that baby has a relationship with his or her daddy, and based on what you have written to me in your emails, I know it's important to you too. I want to set a date for a visit. The third thing I advise you to do is arrange for child care for a few hours on a regular basis so you can go out with your closest, coolest friends and rage with them about all the hurt and anger and befuddlement you have over the fact that a man you once slept with, the man who is biologically half of your precious child, is a complete jackass. This may seem extraneous, but it isn't. It's a vital piece of the survival puzzle. You must find a place to put your negative feelings about the father of your child. If you don't, they will rule you. Very likely what has gone down between you and baby daddy has only begun. Even if it goes well, I wouldn't be surprised if there were many times over the coming years that you'd like to throttle him. If you don't find a place to put those feelings, you may not be able to keep yourself from putting them onto your child. And that's a terrible place to put them. A couple of years ago, I read the findings of a study on the effects of divorce and separated parents talking negatively about their exes in the presence of their children. I tried to locate it when I was writing this column so I could cite it properly and quote it directly, but I had no luck. That's fine, because what I remember about the study most vividly is really just one thing, that it's devastating for a child to hear one parent speak ill of the other. In fact, so much so that the researchers found that it was less psychologically damning if a parent said directly to the child, "You are a worthless piece of shit," than it was for a parent to say, "Your mother, father, is a worthless piece of shit. I don't